Let's talk some Eagles here. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Sr. here with you. Hope you're all having a fantastic Tuesday. And of course, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Here's what's coming up. Eagles have made a couple of roster moves. Eagles offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo talks about the A.J. Brown situation and his usage within this offense. We have some Eagles lineup news from Vic Fangio and some good injury news on Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean. Before we dive into all of that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you want daily and year-round coverage of the Birds right here on YouTube, I'm your go-to guy. This is your go-to spot. So lock us in and subscribe today. We're well over 130,000 subscribers. Let's continue to build the channel. So let's begin here. Last week when the news came out that Eagles pass rusher Nolan Smith was going on injured reserve and he was going to be out at least the next 4 weeks due to that triceps re-injury, it came as a surprise. Now for a second consecutive week, there's more unexpected Eagles injury news with another player going on IR. It's long snapper Charley Hughlett. And we have seen, especially the last 2 games with the Eagles, how valuable special teams are. And Nick Sirianni preaches this all the time. Playing complementary football and playing sound offense, defense, special teams. I certainly believe in that philosophy too. You can win and lose games with that third phase of the game. Special teams. You can't have breakdowns there. If you do, it costs you in the biggest of spots. Shoot, for the Eagles, look back to Super Bowl 57 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Multiple instances in which they lost the special teams battle against Kansas City because Andy Reid's teams have always been bottled up on that end, and then the Eagles weren't. Now, since then, after special teams coordinator Michael Clay was really under fire, the Eagles special teams units the last few years have greatly improved, but you hope that this doesn't have negative ramifications. Hughlett is 35 years old, and he was injured last year. More on that in a moment, but with him going on IR, he has struggled to stay healthy. The Eagles are signing free agent Cal Adomitis, I believe is how you say his name. He is a Pittsburgh native, originally signed with the Cincinnati Bengals as a UDFA out of Pitt in 2022. He's appeared in 49 games with Cincinnati over the previous 3 years before losing a long snapper battle to rookie Will Wagner this summer. We're not sure what the extent or severity of Hughlett's injury is. He did deal with, I believe, a neck injury last year and a neck injury during the preseason. He missed 12 games last year with the Cleveland Browns. And as I noted, missed some time earlier in training camp and in the preseason. That led to the Eagles signing Christian Johnstone out of Appalachian State to long snap for them at the time. He's still a free agent, but the Eagles went with the more experienced player here instead. Now, 2-time Super Bowl champion Rick Lovato is not available. He is now the long snapper of the Los Angeles Chargers. So if you were wondering, hey, can the Eagles add him? He's on that Chargers roster. One of 4 players is Lovato to win Super Bowls with the Eagles alongside Brandon Graham, Jake Elliott, and Lane Johnson. A small but cool fact right there. Not small, but a long snapper, little-known position and player, a big accomplishment to win those 2 Super Bowls, a small grouping of players to win 2 Super Bowls in the history of this Eagles organization. And what I was referencing earlier with special teams being a focal point and it really mattering, right? You think about how good Braden Mann and Jake Elliott have been as the punter and the kicker of this football team. They've gotten off to terrific starts here in 2025. And I actually believe that because of Jake Elliott's struggles last year, especially from 50+, that went into the decision to move on from Lovato. I mean, Rick Lovato was with this organization for a long time. He took over for John Dornbos way back in the day and ended up being a great long snapper for this team. But because Jake Elliott struggled so much a year ago, I think that's why the Eagles brought in Hughlett to be the long snapper. And to start this year, Elliott has connected on 100% of his field goals. And on kicks of 50-plus yards, he's 3 of 3. Last year, The distance kicks for him were a huge issue. He was 1 of 7 on kicks of 50 or more yards. And so with Adomitis, again, if that's how you say his name, hopefully he comes in here and the snaps are accurate, but the flow of the snap, hold, and kick is on point, and hopefully it doesn't impact the game and the punting of Braden Mann, who has been one of the top punters in the National Football League. So the Eagles roster moves here. Charley, Hughlett, Ogbo, Okoronkwo officially to IR. Eagles adding a long snapper here, and then linebacker Lance Dixon released from the practice squad. By putting 2 players on IR and only making 1 signing, the Eagles do have 1 open roster spot. Not going to be going to Kenyon Green, I would imagine. Today he signed with the Baltimore Ravens practice squad after he's been signed to the active roster, after he was traded for, let go, practice squad, let go, brought back. He's going to Baltimore because the Ravens are extremely banged up. And just when you thought it was going to be the year that the Chiefs go down and have no chance of making it to the Super Bowl, the Ravens are a dumpster fire. They're injured all over the place. The Chiefs have now won 2 games in a row. Impressive win against Baltimore. And their only real competition in the AFC right now seems to be Buffalo, and their defense stinks. Are the Chiefs going to do it again and represent the AFC again in the Super Bowl? The Chiefs' fatigue is real. As for Kevin Patullo, he talked about A.J. Brown, and he was, of course, asked about his relationship with A.J., and Patullo came to Philadelphia with Sirianni in 2021. Eagles traded for A.J. draft night of 2022, so they've been around each other for a very long time, and Patullo said his relationship with A.J. is great. And, of course, Nick Sirianni the last two days, because I told you, with A.J. sending out that, I believe, Bible verse and the cryptic tweet, it was going to be a storyline. He's been peppered about this from the media on Monday, and then he was on 94 WIP, and he said, look, A.J. Brown just wants to contribute. I know Joe DeCamera on the morning show on WIP was saying, I don't believe that's true. I think there's something bigger here. Hugh Douglas said, I could be speculating, but the people I've talked to, and he said I could be recklessly speculating, but the people I've talked to have said it's bad. It's really bad. I don't think anybody knows. I mean, A.J. Brown's not dumb. A.J. Brown is widely respected. A.J. Brown has been calculated with what he says, and oftentimes it helps to spark changes and an offensive turnaround. A.J., you've gotten 2 contract extensions from the Eagles. You've been an All-Pro every year you've been with Philadelphia. You've gone over 1,000 yards every season you've been with the Eagles. You really want to go somewhere else when you've been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years and you just won one? You got to make smart business decisions, right? I get you want to be involved more in the offense, but if it's to a point where he wants out, be careful what you're asking for. But anyway, as far as his usage goes, Patullo said this. The second half, when you look at the game as a whole, we started off the game we wanted to. We had good pace, good rhythm. We got it going. I think really when you evaluate games after the fact, there's obviously things we want to work on to get better, and we know we can be critical of as a staff, that we know that we can continue to improve. So I think stepping out of it, there were some things that I felt like at times we were trying to do that we wanted to do. And looking back, I think there's some things that we can change as far as how we want to approach that situation. But really, it just comes down to learning from each situation. We've had very unique games to this point. So I think it's been good to go through that early in the season. We've played really, really good defenses. We've had to adjust accordingly. And I think it's been a really good learning process for us early as a coaching staff and players to continue to grow as an offense. I think he makes pretty valid points there. I mean, the Eagles have gone up against some really good defenses. The last 3 weeks, Steve Spagnuolo, the Rams, who were the number 1 defense going into week 3, and a Todd Bowles-led defense. They've also played some really good teams. They've played in some wild games. I know that AJ wants to contribute more. I want AJ to contribute more. The Eagles want AJ to contribute more. But sometimes a game, its flow, the complexion, the feel of it can really dictate the passing game. Momentum is a real thing. The momentum changed with the 65-yarder from Chase McLaughlin at the end of the first half. And from that point on, the Eagles offense lost their groove and their momentum after they had a nice rhythm going in that first half. And so the Eagles need to correct things. They need to be better. There's no doubt about that. I think AJ, he's going to get it going. He's going to have another really great year. Adjustments are going to happen, and the Eagles have been really good under Sirianni at making in-season adjustments. All right, let me round out with this. Vic Fangio spoke today. He was asked that with the way that he played on Sunday, could Kelee Ringo be a full-time starter? Fangio said, possibly. There's a chance that could happen. And I thought Kelee played pretty well outside of the missed tackles against Tampa Bay, held up in coverage, had a pass breakup. I think he only gave up 8 yards, targeted 3 times, gave up 1 catch. The speed and physicality are there. He needs to tackle better with how big he is. But I thought in coverage, like, he did some nice things. And I'd rather go with the younger player, develop him, than going with Adoree Jackson, who to start the year, is he that much better than Kelee? I don't think so. Jacorian Bennett, he's also hurt. And so Adoree Jackson could end up being the starter on the outside, opposite of Quinyon Mitchell. As far as Nakobe Dean goes, he suffered that torn patellar in January in the wild card round against Green Bay. His practice window has opened. What a speedy and ridiculous recovery for him. This is interesting, though. Vic Fangio has asked, with Dean, and whenever he's able to come back and get ready for game action, now that his practice window is opened, does that mean that Jihaad Campbell could play edge rusher solely so that Dean can play off-ball linebacker? Vic Fangio said, not right now. And you think about that, right? Obviously, Nakobe Dean's a really good player. Dude, Jihaad Campbell and Zach Bond, numbers-wise, eye test-wise, analytics-wise, they've been one of the best linebacking duos in the NFL. And I like Nakobe Dean as a player. Jihaad Campbell's been better. Now, in instances when you do want to use Jihaad Campbell as a pass rusher, maybe Nakobe Dean gets snaps. He'll get some snaps for Zach Bond and Jihaad Campbell when they need a breather. But you'd be doing your defense a disservice taking Zach Bond and Jihaad Campbell off the field with how great they have been. And part of what makes both of those players so special is the versatility. And so it's great that Nakobe Dean has come back. I don't think the Eagles are going to re-sign him after this year because they have Jihaad Campbell, they have Jeremiah Trotter as a really good depth piece. I think Nakobe can go somewhere else, and he can potentially start for another team. On this team, I'm not sure there's a role for him. It's not a knock on him. It's just the reality of the situation. He can help this ball club this year, but I'm not sacrificing Jihaad Campbell snaps for Nakobe Dean because Campbell's the better player. All right, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Be going live tomorrow, Wednesday, to kick off October on Philadelphia Eagles Now. We'll go live around 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern. That's why you subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Turn on your notifications. Therefore, anytime I push out a show like this, anytime we do go live, you will be notified. Go Birds.